So here we are, we're talking about the Summer Language Academy and Northwest ISD and invigorating ELs through the language experience approach. Here is my contact information and my Twitter handle. And welcome. Let's get started. So we planned our summer school program in Northwest ISD through the research-based language experience approach. So you can do a language experience approach a couple of different ways. One of the ways you can do it is through reading a story aloud or watching a video together with your students and then doing some shared writing and reading based on that. Or you could have a shared experience. And that's what we did with our summer school for our students, is we planned a shared experience for our students each week in summer school that the students got to do with their teacher and with their friends. And then through that, it provided a springboard for the students to go back to the classroom, talk about it, create stories. They get to see it, they react to it, they can think about it, they speak to each other about it, listen, read, write, and share. And so through that shared experience, they get to create all this wonderful language. And that's why we decided to do the research-based language experience approach for our summer school program. So what the research says, it's a whole language approach. It promotes reading and writing through the personal experience and oral language. It teaches beginning reading. It makes use of the valuable resource of children's speaking abilities. It cultivates their metalinguistic abilities. And it transitions children from that utterance to text, because our summer school program is for our very smallest language learners. So it's for our pre-K and kinders going into kinder and first grade. So it's really teaching them that the words that they're speaking can be written down and that written word has meaning. The language experience approach provides opportunities to share with others through work and play. It extends children's creative powers to use language freely, frequently, and informally. And it really provides the richest experiences possible as early as possible and on a continuous basis. And so that's what the research says about the language experience approach and why it's so great. And the purpose of all of this is to teach children to acquire the English language, to read, to write, to talk, and to listen. And in the process of all of this, it creates a love for language and reading and writing. Our summer school program in Northwest ISD is based on 4 thematic units. Week 1, we planned as our farm adventure. Week 2 was our music adventure. Week 3 was science adventure. And week 4 was summer adventure. And so we planned thematically, and so this is what we did. For the farm adventure, we brought in a petting zoo. So the students got to feed the goats and pet the rabbits and see the chickens and get to touch them and hear them, be excited about it. They were with their friends, they're with their teachers, and just a great experience brought to the students that they might never get to do on their own. So that was a great experience. The next experience that we did with the students is in Northwest ISD, we have an outdoor learning center. And so they went on a field trip to the outdoor learning center. And here at the outdoor learning center, they can talk about insects and leaves and rocks and the weather and dirt and soil and all of this great stuff that is the students visit even throughout the year. Our students go to the Outdoor Learning Center, and we have a coordinator there. Her name is Outdoor Amy, and so she has all kinds of programs and learning for the students. So that was another experience that we planned, was the Outdoor Learning Center, and that was during Science Week that they got to do that. Another experience that we planned and brought in was the Ballet Folklorico. And so that was during our music week. And so this particular Ballet Folklorico is the Soul Ballet out of Fort Worth, Texas. And you can see in that middle picture that our students really enjoyed getting to see the dancing and interact with the dancers and just how beautiful it is, and really also bringing in that culture, the Mexican culture, to our students. Also during Music Week, we brought in a musical performance by Eddie Coker. He is a local musical performer here in Dallas. He lives in Colorado, but he still comes to Dallas, and he has musical performances all over the area. And so he came in and he was singing and dancing with the kids, and you can tell they're really having a good time. They really enjoyed that. And on our summer adventure, we brought in Kona Ice on the last day of school. And you can see the kids there are just so happy. They had such a great time at summer school, enjoying their slush on the last day of school. Shaved ice, I guess is what they call it now. So those were our experiences. So once they do these experiences, they go back to the classroom. So this slide will show you how to conduct a language experience activity after they've enjoyed the shared experience. So step 1 is enjoying the shared experience. Step 2 is going back to the classroom and creating a text together. And you can see in this picture, the students are sharing the pen with the teacher. And when the students share the pen with the teacher, they can write at their level of proficiency. If they're able to write a whole sentence, then she can go ahead and have them write a whole sentence. If they can do just an initial consonant sound to a word in the story, that they can just add that initial consonant. If they're ready to write a whole word, then they can write a whole word, or maybe a part of a word. Maybe they can write the ER or the ING. So when the students share the pen with the teacher, that's a powerful way of creating a text together. So step number 3, after they create their text together, step number 3 is to read and revise. And so students read it again. They can cross off. If you have some of that cover-up tape, you can use that also for reading and revising. Listening to the structure of the language. Does it sound right? Does it look right? So those are some things that conversations that would happen during the step 3, reading and revising. Step 4 is reading and rereading again, and reading and reading and reading again. Those texts that you created together can be posted around the room. Students can go up and revisit those and read. And what a powerful thing for them to be able to do, to have a shared experience, to create a text together, and then to read that story that has so much meaning to them over and over again, and reading with a friend. It's powerful to reread those stories. If you have some of that highlighting tape, you can use that also during the rereading. Maybe you want them to highlight an initial consonant, or maybe you have a rhyming word in there, or maybe they're doing blends or digraphs or word endings. Those are things that they can use with the highlighting tape in their story. You can also get all sorts of fun pointers, and they can do one-to-one correspondence and directionality with their print. It's just really great to read those texts again after they've created them. Another activity that can go along with a shared experience is what's called a cut-up sentence activity. And I think this is kind of another way that students can put what they're thinking to text. And this was something that I did as a reading recovery teacher when I worked with my ELs in reading recovery. So the cut-up sentence allows the teacher an opportunity to teach and the child to practice. And so when the student has that shared experience, this is more of an individual activity for the student and the teacher. So it's different from the group activity with the language experience activity, but it's still another opportunity for the student to create meaning from the text that they're creating. So the benefits of the cut-up sentence is students can practice one-to-one correspondence between the spoken word and print. Students can think about the sounds in words. They can sequence words using the structure so they can make meaning. They can search and check for information by rereading. It helps them with capitals, punctuation, and spacing. It helps with their phrasing and fluency in reading. They can physically manipulate the words once the words are cut up, and it helps with their self-correcting. So these are the steps to creating a cut-up sentence. And as you can see, there's a sentence there at the bottom, and the teacher cuts it up word by word for the student. So let me go through the steps with you. So step number one, and I've got some visuals over there on the side so you can kind of see, the child is asked to compose or dictate a story, just 1 or 2 sentences, and the teacher can assist the child as needed. So you have a shared experience and the child can tell you about it. You can ask them about it and they can give you an answer. In this particular example, the child said, "I like to run and play outside." Step 2 is the teacher writes the sentence on a piece of tagboard or on a sentence strip while the child watches. So the child initially writes the sentence and then the teacher copies it and writes it on the sentence strip. Step number 3 is the teacher cutting the sentence up, usually word by word, and the child is watching, and you can see in the example, the words are scrambled up. So they're not in order. So as you cut it up, the child can read it as you cut it. So as you're cutting it, you would cut it word by word. So you'd cut it, I, cut, like, and then keep cutting to, run, and play outside as the teacher cuts them word by word. The teacher scrambles the words, and then the child reassembles the sentence back together. So they get to manipulate the words, then they get to read it. I like to run and play outside. And then what we're doing in summer school is we're having the child glue his sentence onto a piece of construction paper and illustrate the story. Now, when the child gets all done with that, every child in the classroom will complete one about a shared experience. And what we did in summer school is we asked the teachers to bind those all together so that they can make a nice little book, and the teacher creates a cover for the book, and then each student, the children, can go back and, just like the language experience story, go back and pick up that book and read those books, read those stories in that book throughout summer school. So just another version of creating text, meaningful text through a language experience. Something that I wanted to share with you about our summer school program, if you wanted to conduct a summer school program in your district like we are doing with the language experiences, something additionally that we've included is students signing in every morning. So we have we write the students' names at the top of a box on a piece of paper, and the students sign in every morning. And so they can either trace their name, copy their name, or maybe they're ready to write their name independently. But signing in every morning helps them writing their name, because again, we're talking about the very littlest language learners. These are our 4 and 5-year-olds that are ELs that are coming to summer school. So you can see, this is some of the data that we collected. So pre-test in summer school, when the children first came in, we tested them during that first week of school. About 50% of our students could write their first name. And then at the end of summer school, at the last week of summer school, over 78% of our students could write their own first name. And so I think a lot of that has to do with signing in every morning. Of course, we had some other additional name activities, but I think that that's really powerful to see that data and how effective that was during our summer school program. Some other data to look at, the child combining sentences that give a lot of detail, sticking to the topic and communicating intended meaning clearly. A lot of this stems from those shared language experiences and creating text together, either on a shared story on the chart or on the cut up sentence activity. But you can see pre-test during the first week of summer school, a little over 24% of our students scored meets on that. And then at the end of summer school, we had over 55% of our students meeting that standard. So clearly, very effective use of the language experience approach. And then child independently using letters or symbols to make words or word parts. You can see at the beginning of summer school, we had about 13% of our students meet that standard. And then after summer school, at the end of summer school, we had over 38% of our students meeting that standard. So having those experiences and making meaning of text through writing and reading really made a difference for our youngest English learners last summer. And just a little bit more information about how our summer school is organized. We have all of our information on our Google site. So this is our Northwest ISD Language Academy Kinder and First Grade Summer School. And you can kind of see at the top, we have a scope and sequence, we have a suggested daily routine, we have station activities, we have a tab for the assessments, and then we have our curriculum, week 1, week 2, week 3, and week 4. In our Language Academy, we have the ESL Language Academy, and then we have a Bilingual Language Academy. And all of that information is found on our Google site. So if you are interested in updating your summer school program or implementing a summer school program, you might be interested in just seeing how we have set it up on our Google site. Something else that we are just in our communication with our families, we send home flyers during registration. So you can see that one's in English and one is in Spanish. And we're adding a few more language experiences this year. We're adding the Fort Worth Science Museum is coming in, and they're going to be bringing insects. We're adding a puppet show this year. And so just a few more things to get the kids some additional experiences. So those are the flyers that go home with the families. And again, if you're planning to do it, and I hope you do it, there's some planning and budgeting aspects that we definitely had to consider. For training, we train our teachers about a month before it starts. They each get 8 bins of materials. So you can see on the picture there, we have an inventory supply list, and you can see at the bottom that we have tub 1, tub 2, tub 3, tub 4. So we have 8 tubs of materials for them that include all the thematic resources and materials that they're going to need to have a successful summer school. Our summer school program is paid out of our state funding. It's called PIC 25 in Texas. And in Texas, our summer school program for kinder and first graders is state required. And so we have to offer it. And so it is state funded. I would recommend, if you're implementing a summer school program like this with the language experiences, I would recommend planning 6 months ahead, even maybe 9 months ahead, because you're going to have to reach out and book your presenters and arrange your field trips and transportation. You've got to get their quotes in, and you've got to get those approved. And so it takes just a little bit of time. You have to get their background checks. So just through the experience of implementing it last year, there's a lot of things that have to happen in order for your presenters and field trips to be ready to go. And again, I kind of mentioned the tubs, just making sure you have all your materials organized. Field trip transportation, a lot of that was organizing that with our transportation department and making sure we have all of our field trip permission letters signed. You also have to consider allergies and safety, especially when they're going to the outdoor learning center. You have to take temperature and what they wear into consideration. So a lot of things to think about and just kind of keep in the back of your mind. Of course, student safety always comes first when you're planning something like this. And at the end of summer school, we asked for teacher feedback. And so that really helped us plan this year so we could make changes to assessments and changes to materials, changes to experiences that we wanted to plan. All right, so there they are. See you next summer. They loved it. So thanks for watching about our Summer Language Academy here at Northwest ISD. And I'm going to, and there's my contact information again. I'm going to bring you back up. There we go. And again, thank you for watching today. And I hope you learned a lot. If you need to contact me, my contact information was on the screen. I'm at veronica.law or veronica.law@nisdtx.org. And I'm at Law v Law on Twitter. All right, guys, thanks for watching.